AKC lecture series on intelligent robots, living with intelligent robots, and I'm coordinating this lecture series together with four other academics who will be talking about consciousness in the scientific sense, computation and logic, and artificial intelligence. So I was asked to focus on the Buddhist interpretation of awareness, consciousness, and the Buddhist meditation because this lecture series is intended for students taking religious studies. Um, okay, so before that, I should give you some kind of background about myself, why I can talk about something about Buddhism. It is not because I was born as a Buddhist. I was born in Sri Lanka, and then I grew up in a Buddhist background. But it was more like traditional practice of Buddhism, going to the temple and offering flowers and chanting and listening to talks and things like that. So, but some recent experiences in my life, very recent experiences in my life, kind of uh, provoked me or encouraged me to uh, go to the more like the meditation practice taught in Buddhism, which is moving away from the cultural side of Buddhism a little bit. And then I started to take some um, full resident meditation, kind of, we call it retreats, in the Amaravati Buddhist Monastery first in 2010. First retreat with Ajahn Vajro, a 14-day retreat, and then with Ajahn Amaro another 14-day, 13-day retreat. I think couple of them, and then I have um, been to the Wat Pah Nachat in Thailand to have a 1 week resident meditation retreat full time. So a meditation retreat is something like so you go and reside in a monastery, cut off from internet, all these lay practices, and then you observe the eight precepts that I'm not going into details. Like so, it is like renouncing a lot of lay things, including music, and including any jewelry or money or things like that. So just included in the precepts. And so you wake up early in the morning. So in Wat Panachat, we woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and then you have sitting and walking meditation continuously. You break for lunch, and then you have another small break in the afternoon, and then you have daily Dhamma talks in the night. Your meditation master gives about a 1 hour Dhamma talk every night, talking about deep sides of Buddhist meditation practice, encouraging things. And then you go to sleep around 9 o'clock, and then you wake up early next day morning, and then you continue like that. So after doing these things, and then after getting more courage to practice on my own, whenever I mean walk to work or in the train while working, and then somehow improving the practice so that like so you meditate all the time basically, so round the clock, whatever you're doing. Uh, and then I think with that background, I'm talking this not just as a Buddhist, born Buddhist in a Buddhist culture. So uh, first, I will talk about a little bit of the scientific side. Uh, so recent findings in meditation says few things about how the meditation affects the brain. What is this finding? So the medial prefrontal cortex activity which is responsible for the mind wandering, right? So if you when your mind just wanders around, this area gets active, and then posterior cingulate cortex. Um, and then in people who do meditation, so let's say just baseline, and then choiceless awareness, loving kindness, and concentration. Concentration is just like focusing on something like the breath. And loving kindness is spreading metta, karuna, mudita to other people. And then what they see is like, so there's a sharp decrease in free wandering of mind, and on the meditators versus the control subjects. And then with that, a sharp increase in the activity of the lateral left posterior insula, which is which is responsible for consciousness or awareness of the internal activity, your own mind and the body activity. It increases in the meditators relative to. I mean, even their baseline is more than the control subjects. Like, so there's a significant baseline activity, which is like, even if they don't meditate of kind of formally, they are more aware of what is going on in their own bodies and minds. That's the whole point. And then even during meditation, it is the slight increase, not a huge increase, meaning that they are meditating all the time. So who are very experienced. So and so other work, you can see the short-term meditation induces white matter changes in the anterior cingulate, uh, which is anterior cingulate activity is more like involved in rational cognitive functions like reward anticipation, decision making, empathy, impulse control, and emotion, and then the connectivity between the two hemispheres. So that uh, has an increase in integrated body mind training, so which is a form called vipassana meditation. So in vipassana meditation, what they do is, uh, yeah, in a retreat, you get the chance to practice vipassana meditation, uh, which is like, so you first focus on something like your breath, something which is noticeable, and then which helps you to increase sati, which is concentration. Uh, Once your mind has settled down with the breath, and you find it easy to be with the breath, going up and down, just like a watcher in a gate. A watcher or a guard in a gate, they just watch people who pass through the gate, right? So they don't follow the people outside the gate or inside the gate into the building. So they just look at their bags and their appearance, their everything, the features at the gate. They don't worry about them before or after. So that is how you watch your breath. So you don't try to control it, and you don't try to follow it. You don't just look at how it feels at the nostrils or somewhere where you feel it, and then you just focus on that. So that is, and then once you feel comfortable with that, so you just let that feeling of that breathe go to the background, and then you take your whole body and mind to the foreground, and then you just keep watching whatever you feel in your body, the pains rising and passing away, and maybe the tensions in your body, movements of the mind, whatever the thoughts that come and pass away. You just keep watching them. And then the objective of watching that is to notice three things in whatever that rises and passes away. These three things are the quality of anicca, which is the quality of uncertainty, which is like nothing stays there. Right? So the pains come and just pass away, and then they change their shape, and then they change their presentation. the mind has thoughts, and then the thoughts just rise. They change in mood and shape, and the spatial shape, activity, and then they just disappear. So nothing stays. That is the quality, the anicca, the uncertainty. And then the second quality is anatta, which is they just rise there on their own, and they change their shape on their own, and then they pass away on their own, and then you don't have control over them. So just to notice that, you feel the intestines, like the food moving in the intestines, and then you cannot stop it. So you just it works the way it works, and then you see that your heart beats, and then it does the way it does, yeah, on its own, autonomously, and then you cannot control it, you cannot stop it or something. So this the quality called anatta, which is like there's a lack of a central regulator. Everything is distributed and parallel and concurrent, and they just rise and pass away on their own concurrently without like having some kind of giving some authority to you to control them. So there's a thing called you have a feeling called your my body, my mind, my thought. But you realize that whatever you think who you are, you have no control over you, whatever the things it, that rises and passes away in your mind and the body. So that is called anatta. So and then the third quality is whatever that rises and passes away, they give rise to dukkha, which is like their ability to push you off balance. So, for example, you go to the beach, and then you think it is a great thing to do, and then you feel relaxed, of course, and then that relaxed nature just rises and passes away. So you go to the beach, and then after some time you get bored of where you are, and then it asks you to move, and you walk, and then oh yeah, then you become like a slave. You walk to the other side. So it tells you, okay, so over there it is better, right? So go there and then watch it, right? So and then you go there. And then, yeah, of course that for some time it is a change, and you like it, and then you feel better. And then after some time, the boredom kicks in again, and then ask you, okay, so now I'm done with this, and move there, right? So and then you move there, and then after some time, okay, so okay, now the sunlight is gone, and it is dark, and then okay, go home and do some, listen to some music. You'll be okay. And you go and then listen to music, and then you get bored of that, and then watch some TV, and now eat something good. So it is like constantly pushing you off balance, and then you, like a slave, do whatever it asks you to do, and then understanding that things rise and pass away on their own, anatta. I don't have control over them, and then they keep pushing me, which is dukkha, and then they don't stay, which is anicca. And then when you see for yourself really solidly these three things, you get an ability uh, to break free from these things. So that's the whole objective of Buddhist meditation, and then that strength that builds inside you to break free from these things is in Buddhism says a final and liberating force, which has to grow inside you, and they don't grow inside if you don't see these things as they are, as the three qualities. Um, and so then you might ask, like, who is seeing these things, right? So it is there's what is seeing these things. So this is the nature of awareness. So you're building up an ability in the awareness that uh, that that gives you the ability to see these things as they are. So I'm going to little talk about that now. Um, so in Buddhism, mind the whole Buddhist teaching really talks about the mind, how it works. So um, it, let's take some. uh, kind of little walk through that. So you have sensory stimuli. So let's say you see something, you are in a classroom and then you see students in front of you, as I am seeing, and then that scenery creates a little warp in my awareness. Like I see somebody, and then at the same time, I get a feeling of me here, who is seeing somebody. A slight separation of uh, the student and me, what I'm seeing and me, a slight separation, a slight warp in my field of awareness. And then that keeps on growing, that ridge or the rift, the separation between this and that keeps growing. And to a little clearer thing, like tall student be, and then it after some time it really clear, it is really clear, there's an enthusiastic student over there, and then there's a motivated teacher B. I get the feeling of a motivated teacher. uh, and then in between is a separation, which is a warp in my own awareness, that created that enthusiastic student representation in my own mind, and then the motivated teacher feeling in my own mind. And I don't realize that both these things are in my own mind, but there's a separation that uh, makes me think that there's a world outside, uh, which is the student, and then the mirror image of that, uh, who is this motivated teacher inside me. So both these things are inside the whole mind. The whole world is created inside the mind, but I see that as a separate world. I don't see that as something inside my mind, which is with the warp of awareness. So in Buddhism, this is called the process of prapancha, which is the process of proliferation inside the mind, which creates the warping inside the mind of the awareness. And then it is, uh, uh, in English we call it consciousness, but it is not a very clear definition. Consciousness is all often used as awareness. I'm conscious about that. I know that. But in Buddhism, it's a clear thing. It's called vijnana. Vijnana is coming from two words. Like so, vi is for vichita or vibhita, which is a split or separation or a cut. Uh, Jnana is awareness. So vijnana is vichinna jnana or a differentiated awareness. So which is this warping in the awareness. So unwarped awareness is the clear awareness. Warped awareness is the consciousness, which is a derivative of awareness. It's a differentiated awareness. So what it does is it creates a world outside and the be inside, and that gives the illusion of a world. So now in meditation we see how this works, how this papancha works, because it slows down a lot when you do meditation. So, but when you are normal, out of meditation, there is no way you can notice this, because like there's six sensory doors, like the mouth, the skin, the ears, the nose, the eyes, and then there's a mind as a sensor. In Buddhism, we don't see mind as a separate thing. It's also a sensory door, which because just like another sensor, the mind can see thoughts, and then these thoughts and mental objects can give you feelings, mental feelings, frustration, tension, and things like that. So it is just another sensory door. Thoughts rising in the mind door, and then just like images appearing inside or in front of eyes. So when you are bombarded uh, from sensory stimuli, from six doors. Like you have no chance of seeing these things. So you are in a complete flux or in a complete magical show of this and that, this and that, this and that, and then whatever on the inside you creates, okay, me the one who feels this good smell, the me the one who sees this nice scenery, and then be the one who get this taste, bad taste. So you get a nice smell and a bad taste and a good scenery and a bad music, and then you're confused, completely utterly confused, and depending on where the mind is jumping, you can get frustrated about the bad smell, and then you feel happy about the good scenery, and then whatever who you think you are is just a phantom flux of just butterflies. Like, just imagine, like, it has like different types of butterflies flying inside a net, and then you think you are that net, whatever inside that net, and then but you don't realize that all these butterflies are projections from whatever uh, the experiences outside, and which is really not what the experiences as they are, whatever the projections inside you, how the awareness got warped at that time. So how the, for example, like, so you see the same scene. Let's say you go to the beach and then you see the sunset, which is one sensory door, and then the other sensory door may be saying, okay, there's a good breeze, like, or cold air hitting me in this beach, nice beach, and then why is this cold air? Let's say your attention goes to cold air at some point, and then you get frustrated, and then the next moment you forget about the cold air, and then you're attracted by the nice scenery of the sunset or something, and then you feel happy about it. So this is just a flux of things, like, like swinging back and forth, swinging from one to another, and then you don't have really control over yourself, like whatever whatever the projection uh, to make you as a self. So, and then which is really an anatta thing, which you have no control over that thing, and then you are just a victim of what is happening outside. So basically, whatever the sensory inputs are controlling you, your thoughts and your feelings and everything. So that is a brief description of the process of making consciousness, awareness in Buddhism. So the another aspect is, so that process is not a constant, a fixed path. Like, so I see that sunset, I always get this feeling. It is not that, unfortunately. So let's say that I see a student, I don't get the same feeling all the time. So the way it warps is always uncertain. So I can say, okay, that student be the teacher, and then maybe sometime later, oh, that boy and be the elder man, and then maybe that girl and be the male, or some, or who knows, right? So all these things are very uncertain. This prapancha, the path it takes, is very uncertain, which are mostly guided by your intentions. Like, so it's like top-down projections to the bottom-up sensory stimuli. So the bottom up process is starting from the sensory stimuli. You have prapancha, the path of proliferation, the differentiation to create consciousness out of the field of awareness. But and the top down modulation is coming from the intentions. The intentions are trying to kind of create a kernel around it, and then to modulate or restrict it. So in Buddhism, what says is, you don't have control over what is bombarded by the outside, but you have control over the modulation from the top-down process, which is intentions. So first, try to discipline your internal mind by building the right intentions, which is metta, karuna, mudita, upekka, which is like the four Brahma Viharas or the four corners that will protect your intentions. Metta is loving kindness, developing loving kindness. Karuna is compassion. I think like these two are easy to develop. Loving kindness, you can say, okay, so I I spread loving kindness to animals, to humans, and compassion to everybody. But the latter two are really difficult to develop. Mudita and upeka. Mudita is your joy you feel when other people are happy or other people are successful, which is extremely difficult to do. The first reaction you get is jealousy, but you don't realize that, right? So your best friend wins a award or something. Your best friend's child passes the exam really well. But you send an email or on your Facebook, you oh congratulations, so cute boy, he deserves it and everything. But what your heart says is jealousy. My child didn't do it, and I feel sad. So which is a negative feeling first, but you try to cover it up with some kind of positive decoration. So when you develop mudita, it's like you try purposely uh, try to notice that when other people are happy, when other people are successful, the first thing that arises in my mind is jealousy. You confront it without running away from it. Like so, accept it as it is. Whenever you feel jealousy, it's okay. So this is the natural process first, and then you're not hating it. You're not feeling disgusted about yourself. You just accept as it is. So okay, this is what is happening, which is a conditioned process whole throughout the evolution for your own maybe protection. Then when other people are successful, you that process makes you think that you have to be successful, you have to work, and you have to be. So, but it is given to you with a negative punch, just like you want to go to the let's say toilet. First, what you get is a pain, so you get the pain of urinating, and then that pushes you to go to the toilet to urinate. When you feel the body needs food, it gives you a pain of hunger. So the whole process of conditioning is whatever is good for you to make to protect you. Uh, is evolved to give you a pain first, and then everything is a pain reduction. So when you get the hunger, it's a pain. When you eat food, the hunger reduces, but you interpret that as comfort. So you interpret that as some kind of oh yeah, this is delicious food making me happy. So but what is really happening is you are coming back to zero from a negative side. So you get a pain to go to the toilet, and then you urinate, and then while you feel really happy and you feel comfortable. But what is really happening is the pain reduction to zero, normal. So jealousy is like that. So you feel jealous first, which is painful, and then that pushes you to work, right? So you immediately go. You see your best friend's son passing the exam or daughter passing the exam, and then you first get the thing, and then you go and ask your son to study harder. Right? So then what happens is so you see that as it is, and then you somehow try to counter that. Okay, so I can do it without jealousy. So I feel good about my best friend's son or daughter, and then I will also work about my son and daughter, but I don't need jealousy. So jealousy doesn't have to remind me how to work. So Pekka is another more deep thing, which is like your ability to stay stable no matter what happens, which is extremely difficult. It is thought that It is said that Upeka is perfectly developed only at the Arhatship level, which is at the fourth level of perfect achievement or accomplishment. Uh, and so equanimity is something like so you have the ability to be aware of things passing through your mind or awareness, but without getting affected by it. It is like let's say a sunlight, a sunbeam coming through some kind of a window, and then in that sunbeam you have glittering dust particles moving around. Dust particles move around, but the sunbeam is not affected by it. Like it is still, the sunlight is still, but you don't see the void in between glittering particles, which is the sunlight. So you become able to move from you lose your grip away from these glittering particles, which are these, uh, and then you move to this empty space, and which is eternally happy, which is eternally unaffected by what is happening inside these things, these moving things. So, which is called, attaining nibbana or arahat. So, it is extremely difficult because, like, these are like footsteps which are burning but painful, everything. But you are not sure about this bit, right? So, which is pure awareness, and why would you step onto that? Which you don't know what happens. But the moment you experience that this is eternally happy, your awareness withdraws from this to that, which is called nibbana, and then which is perfect equanimity or upeka. So basically, we practice to keep our intentions within these four boundaries, uh, uh, without getting affected by greed, hatred, and delusion, which are the default programs. So this is